There's no mail-in ballots. You see that's what's happening in California. They're rigging the election. Now, maybe we caught them, and maybe they won't be able to get away with it. They tried with me. They did it successfully the second time. The third time, we made it too big to rig. Too many votes. They couldn't do it. They can only go. They sort of gave up at about 9:07, where they got slaughtered with the votes that came in.
And so this morning, the Inspector General, in coordination with the task force, exercised his statutory obligation to end the grants being paid to Hawaii, to make sure that money that goes out the door to the states is going to actually fight fraud.
Good morning. What is the FBI doing to combat fraud? It's pretty simple. We follow the money.
But you're right here. You're right here on record saying,
no,
I'll admit it.
No, I did not admit it. The president never sent, would agree to send the National Guard. Don't waste your time or mine on you.
Can you see it? Did you catch what President Trump said about California and all of the stolen elections? Do you know who has been assigned to look into it? Did you catch the fraud uncovered again and the force behind catching the fraudsters? Scott Bessent was on point again. So good to watch this play out for we the people day after day. Man, incredible. We're more than 500,000 followers on Rumble. Thank you for that, folks, and hitting that follow button. Also, that like button got us to number 2 right next to Dan Bongino yesterday. So hitting that like button helps us get to the top of the leaderboard, puts more eyes on this show, and we really appreciate all of you guys. Remember, we've got gear at andweknow.com or shop.andweknow.com for you. That'd be T-shirts, hats, our new bedazzled crew neck and tee. And we'll have pictures of Patriots wearing our gear later on in this broadcast.
You know, this country needs a fair press. And one thing I think that's done is expose how corrupt our media is. And I really do, while we're here, I hope the media looks at this election that's taking place in California, where they think it'll take 7 or 8 days to count the votes. Can you believe this? I mean, they spend all that money on the machines, the big voting machines. They think it's going to be 7 or 8 days before we know who won the election. But the numbers are looking strange because without any vote counting, the numbers dropped very precipitously for 2 Republicans that are doing well, that had been doing well. And I hope you're all watching it, because I'm watching it very closely.
Yep, put out, again, Il Donaldo Trumpo, the burner account for President Trump with that background music. Now let's continue with some other comments that President Trump made.
So the Save America Act is all voters must show photo ID.
Save America Act, he continues to bring it up.
So you go to vote and you show photo ID. Not complicated, right? You know, who could oppose it? They say it's an 80-20. It's not. It's about 99-1, and we'll never find the one person. Andy, congratulations, Andy, on a big victory.
Thank you for your help, sir.
I appreciate it, but you're very good at what you do, and I've been backing you right from the beginning for a long time, right?
Backing you too, sir.
For years, that's what you have. Thank you. Congratulations. You won a big election. So you have all voters must show photo ID, identification. All voters must show a little thing called proof of citizenship. Would you say that's 99-1, Mr. Pennsylvania?
I would say that's maybe 100 to 0.
Not what they say.
At least it should be.
No, but they say it's 80-20. It's not 80-20. It's 99. And we've never found the one person. There's another one. Then you have no mail-in ballots, but we want to be liberal, as they say. Or we'll say we want to be progressive. So it's no mail-in ballots. You see that's what's happening in California. They're rigging the election. Now
I'm going to pause here for a second to show you something that has been playing out on social media. The ballots in California, since you brought up California, they're actually arriving by helicopter.
The LA County Sheriff's Department is flying in ballots from vote centers across the region. You can see the choppers landing right now. We're standing in the parking lot of the LA County Registrar's Ballot Processing Center.
The processing center, LA County Processing Center. The Ballot Processing Center, the LA County Registrar's Ballot Center. So bring them all to one place where we can handle them, scan them again, probably 5 times over so we can get all the votes that we need in one spot. So we don't have to cheat in other locations. Just bring them all in. Put them on helicopters. Bring them in. It's emergency.
Maybe we caught them and maybe they won't be able to get away with it.
President Trump, maybe we caught them. Maybe they won't be able to get away with it. It's amazing how he just kind of says that.
They tried with me. They did it successfully the second time. The third time, we made it too big to rig. Too many votes. They couldn't do it. They can only go. They sort of gave up at about 9:07 where they got slaughtered with the votes that came in. But no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. So we're being very progressive. And we just don't want cheating in our elections. And you see it happening in California. Those numbers are coming down rapidly. They found a lot of mail-in ballots last night, shockingly.
Yeah. I love how he's bringing it up. That's good.
So we don't want that.
We don't want
it. We added best of. This is best of Trump. No men in women's sports. No transgender mutilization surgery for our children.
Yep, he continues to go there. The White House said no more games passed the Save America Act without delay. Again, voters must show photo ID. It's so simple. Voters must show proof of citizenship. No mail-in ballot except for illness, disability, military, or travel. No men and women's sports. No transgender mutilation surgery for our children. They voted down the Save America Act again that would have required voter ID to vote in elections. It's what 86% of Americans want. The Republicans who said no, Tom Tillis, Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell, and Susan Collins. They're not the only ones doing some shady voting. I saw this just kind of go off the freeway for a second for an exit here. Look at this.
Man, all these Republicans voting to send more money to Ukraine.
19 Republicans. Clay Higgins keeping us updated. I scroll down. I try to find out, who is. So people are asking Grok, Chat, GTP, and other places. Hey, who are these folks? The Republicans with the state that voted. Folks are posting them. I'm scroll down a little bit more so you guys can see a list that people are putting together. This is Ukraine vote, sending them money, even though our country's hurting, all the things that are going on. Continue to send money over to another country so that they can do what? Remember, a lot of the money that went to Ukraine went right back to the Democrats' pockets. So here we are. Don Bacon, Rob Bresnahan, Pennsylvania, Mike Carey, Ohio, Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, Andrew Garbarino, in case you guys are listening, and this is your area, New York, Carlos Jimenez, Florida, Jeff Hurd, Colorado, David Joyce, Ohio, Jen Kiggins, Virginia, Nick Loda, New York, Mike Lawler, New York, Mike McCall, Texas, Max Miller, Ohio, Dan Newhouse, Washington, Glenn Thompson, Pennsylvania, Mike Turner, Ohio, Joe Wilson, South Carolina. It looks like, again, Don Bacon from Nebraska. So all you guys just want to make sure you're aware what's going on. This uniparty system continues to move forward and go against all of us. Now, I wanted to show you another thing very interesting as this has all been playing out. This was just posted, Dan Scavino Jr. He was responding to Ebrahim Zizi. He said, is the evacuation of nearly 9,000 Americans and the destruction of your military bases in the region AI? Dan Scavino responded with the Iranian Navy at the bottom of the ocean and this song. Yeah, that's Nessun Dorma. Great response. And he waited to post it till a specific time. What time was that? Oh, 23:58 military time. 23:58, if you go to the Intel board, the Q board, Happens to match a lot what's going on. D's playbook, midterms. Oh, yeah, midterms. How about that? We will impeach Justice Kavanaugh. Remember that? Zero corroborating evidence. Remember all that stuff? And then, of course, it's related to this liberal left lunacy debate. These people are evil, sick, and stupid. You're witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard. There it is, the old guard at the bottom of the ocean. I think it all matches. That's why he waited to post it at that time. Power to the people, and then Red October. Wow, doesn't it all just fit together to keep us in the comms and understanding what's going on? Also, President Trump said, I believe we have the most dishonest election of any country anywhere in the world, President Donald J. Trump. Kimberly Hour jumped in. Hey, this is posted at 2:52. That's 14:52 military time. With the June 11th Delta, are we finally calling the ball? Will 2016, 2020, and 2024 midterms all collide? Will we get some martial law via national emergency so we can re-vote in person only with military oversight? Let's see what happens. Fraud vitiates everything. And then you get that post, 1452. You've got the Inspector General, Huber. You have more than you know. Of course, other connections. Paul Florent saw this when he mentioned, President Trump mentioned there's big cheating by the Democrats in California. Votes are all tied up, may not be in for weeks, under investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles. Why the vote counting delay? Big cheating. Can cheating be done after the polls are closed? Asked by Q. Why do some elections take more than a day to count? Who controls the poll books? Who controls the databases? Who controls the elections? Why are extra ballots printed? Will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Asked somebody, an anon there. Yes, watch California was deliberate. And then we were told again, will election fraud be revealed soon? Yes, midterms are safe. Watch California. And that was posted April 19th, 2018. Of course, that big cheating with that BIG, big in capital letters, you have that on the keyboard, the BIG. We are winning big. Trust the plan. Remember, Locked In was posted by President Trump, posting Department of War, posting that so that we can remember what exactly is going on. Now, going into the future on these elections, who's going to be in charge?
Did a great job. And it's an acting position. It's not a permanent. He's not going to be permanent because, I don't think he'd want to be permanent. But he's a very smart guy.
PULTE.
And he may find out some things about the rigged elections.
Oh, you might find out something about the rigged elections.
Et cetera, et cetera. I think he'd like to do it. I think he wants to do it very much. Got a lot of energy. But he'll be very good. Again, it's not a permanent position. Right. We're interviewing people right now.
Yeah, it's not permanent, but yeah, I think this guy's going to be looking into the elections. Why they're rigged. Wow. I've got some more on this about California and just something to go back to when it comes to elections and who's out there with Rush Limbaugh from Zach Lawn, a great one, post there, and all of the fraud that's being caught. You don't want to miss it. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At ltpetclub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. And guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
Have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, we've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to ltpetclub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today. So Caroline Levitt posted on X, California has among the worst laws for securing elections in the entire nation. Governor Newscum, she called him Scum, and the rest of the radical Democrats in California blatantly refuse to adopt common sense election integrity measures, I will lay out the facts for one of the worst governors in America to understand. California doesn't require voters to show photo ID before casting a ballot, despite nearly 90% of Americans supporting photo ID laws. California uses universal mail-in balloting, which we know is extremely vulnerable to fraud and abuse. In the 2024 election alone, California mailed nearly 10 million mail-in ballots that were never returned. Wall Street Ape said, wow. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt revealed all of this, especially the 2024 election. California mailed nearly 10 million mail-in ballots, right? Never returned. How can we even pretend California elections are real when they could be mailing out 10 million plus extra fake ballots? California has among the worst laws for securing elections in the entire nation. I will lay out the facts for one of the worst governors in America to understand, right? California doesn't require voters to show voter ID, right? All this universal mail-in balloting. The bipartisan Carter-Baker Commission in 2005 found absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud, and vote by mail is likely to increase the risks of fraud. San Francisco even allows non-citizens to vote in local elections, which creates a high risk of fraud in federal elections. They shouldn't be doing it. California reported 2 million plus duplicate registrations in the 2024 election. 15.6% of total registered voters in 7 counties completely failed to provide data on duplicate registrations. And just to remind everyone how this ties into law changed in California by Democrats, 2016 to 2018 laws like the Voters' Choice Act expanded vote by mail. 2020, Democrats passed permanent universal mail-in ballots. Every registered voter gets a ballot mailed automatically. They made ballot harvesting with third parties collecting and delivering ballots legalized. AB 1921 removed limits on who could return ballots and how many. Democrats then installed widespread unsecured and unmonitored ballot drop boxes, hoping for, and we need, a federal audit of California. Gina Milan says President Donald Trump, without evidence, is accusing, she didn't say it. ABC 7, News 7 came out and said, quote, President Donald Trump, without evidence, is accusing Democrats of trying to steal the California gubernatorial and Los Angeles mayoral primaries. The same ABC 7 came out and said, LA County woman to plead guilty to paying people on Skid Row to register to vote. Oh, when it comes to elections and more, there's a guy named Zach Lawn, Republican candidate for governor. Okay, 6th-generation Iowan fighting to restore our culture, health, and heritage. Father, husband, farmer, businessman, educator. He posted this full clip of himself. It was talked about by Rush Limbaugh. And I heard Rush speaking. Man, do I miss listening to him. I miss listening to this guy. Every day, I had to have Rush Limbaugh on. Full clip from the Obama town hall while Zach Lawn was in college in 2009. Listen to this.
This is from Grand Junction, Colorado on Saturday. Obama and a town hall meeting. Zach Lane.
I'd love to have a debate, just all out, anytime, Oxford style if you'd like. I understand how I'm willing to do that. But my question is this. We all know the best way to reduce prices in this economy is to increase competition. How in the world can a private corporation providing insurance compete with an entity that does not have to worry about making a profit, does not have to pay local property taxes? They do not have to, they're not subject to local regulations. How can a company compete with that? And I'm not looking for anything, I don't want generalities, I don't want philosophical arguments, I'm just asking a question.
This kid is amazing, and there's no question in my mind this kid listens to this program. In fact, well, no, not really. And there's a New York Times column today, Ross Douthat, and he just point blank says that these town hall meetings are filled with Limbaugh listeners. How does a private entity compete with a company that doesn't have to make a profit? The government? Stop talking generalities and philosophical arguments. This kid,
my name's Zach Lane.
This student challenges the president to a debate. then with one simple question that Obama can't answer, nukes the entire foundation of Obamacare. And listen to this answer.
It is true that there are certain costs associated with a private business that a government would not have to worry about. You mentioned a couple of them. It's conceivable that a private entity that's having to pay a certain interest rate for their money would be really undermined if the government is able to get money much cheaper implicitly because Uncle Sam backs this operation. I think there are ways that we can address those competitive issues. And you're absolutely right. If they're not entirely addressed, then that raises a set of legitimate problems.
Well, but here you have a rambling answer, and Obama just agreed with the student and explained why the centerpiece of his plan, the public option, won't work. Because he can print money. He didn't say that, but when he says, well, Uncle Sam, get money much cheaper implicitly because Uncle Sam print it. It's our tax people. Just go out and take it from people. Private insurance companies can't do that. So this student gets Obama to admit that his whole plan won't work, as he himself said. This kid is amazing.
My name's Zach Lane.
Zach Lane, Republican candidate for governor out of Iowa. Man, I miss that voice. Miss Rush. It's been a while since we've heard him, and I figured you guys would enjoy that. The FBI is out looking for the fraudsters. They posted their photos, like Most Wanted, right? Like kind of the good old days where you watch the old Western movies, right? Rodney Dean Allen, wire fraud, total losses $7,300,000. Christopher Burns is out there, total losses $10 million. John Michael Demetrian. I mean, here they are. They put their names out, failure to appear, mortgage fraud. Julian Demetrian, mortgage fraud. Saeed Abdullah Erig, wire fraud, $4,200,000. Elaine and Jean Esco, wire fraud. Herbert Kimball, $1,200,000,000. Michael Lazasso out there with total losses of $34 million.
Good morning. What is the FBI doing to combat fraud? It's pretty simple. We follow the money. We follow all the money. And thanks to President Trump's brilliant vision to decimate fraud across the country that has been fleecing Americans and our kids and our senior citizens for far too long, law enforcement finally has the backing to deliver like we are delivering here in the state of Ohio today. Thank you to Vice President J.D. Vance for leading the anti-fraud task force. In order to assemble this great team of individuals, you need true leadership across the country, and it starts in Washington, D.C. None of this work is possible without every single one of these individuals here and their teams at the state, local, and federal levels. It is truly a team lift, a unified effort under the Trump and Vance administration that has brought us here to just highlight some of the work that we are doing. Operation Playground Therapy is what the FBI is here to talk about today. As the Attorney General highlighted, literally tens of millions of dollars that was supposed to go to kids was stolen, allegedly, by individuals who worked in government and the private sector and thought they could fleece Americans and our treasure, our children, of the hard-earned dollars, the taxpayer dollars that we provide to support them in their...
How about that? Always finding and sticking around to ensure that that fraud is out there and these folks get busted. DOJ secured 6 healthcare fraud convictions in under 3 weeks, $1.1 billion in losses. The president, administration's Justice Department delivering fast results on healthcare fraud. 6 trial convictions across 5 federal districts, Florida, California, Michigan, New York, and Tennessee, spanning 6 major fraud schemes. Key cases included a $1 billion Medicare scheme that used a digital platform to generate fake doctor orders for unnecessary braces. A California doctor convicted in a $45 million Botox fraud, billing while on vacation and for incarcerated patients. Huh. What else do we have? Oh, yeah. Despite the Medicaid funding surging 27% and enrollment jumping 40% from 21 to 2025, Hawaii produced 0 fraud convictions or indictments. Andrew Ferguson called it out.
The Office of the Inspector General, led by March Bell in coordination with the task force, has decertified Hawaii's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. Let me explain why this is important. Every year, the United States taxpayers send $2 trillion through Medicaid and Medicare out to the states. There are conditions on the money that goes out to the states, and one of them is very simple. If states want access to this money, they have to create a unit to fight fraud in those states, led by the attorney generals of those states. We are joined up here by Dave Yost. Ohio's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit is one of the gold standard control units for fighting fraud in the United States, and that is a credit to his leadership. The opposite has been taking place in Hawaii. For more than a decade, Hawaii's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit has received millions and millions of dollars to fight fraud and has consistently been one of the lowest performing fraud units in the country. They have been the subject of continued demands to improve their performance since 2014, dating back to the Obama administration. And from 2021 to 2025, Hawaii's Medicaid funding went up 27%. Their Medicaid enrollment went up 40%. And they did not produce a single conviction or obtain a single indictment of a fraudster from 2021 to 2025. And so this morning, the Inspector General, in coordination with the task force, exercised his statutory obligation to end the grants being paid to Hawaii to make sure that money that goes out the door to the states is going to actually fight fraud.
How long has it been going on? Why are they getting by with this? How many folks pocketed all this money and went out there and said, I'm going to get me a house, I'm going to go on vacation, get a new car, blah, blah, blah. And then, all the rest of the folks out there are suffering, paying their taxes, doing everything by the law. Never thinking they would get caught. Probably wondering now why they went crazy and did all they could to fund and ensure that there were riots and craziness and propaganda to make President Trump look bad, because they knew. These folks that got rich off of all this corruption, they knew. If this man, President Trump, gets in, he'd put the right people in place and eventually they get caught. It's happening.
Today, we unsealed a 32-count indictment against 2 state employees and 2 other co-conspirators for allegedly billing $30 million to the government for therapeutic behavioral services that were never provided. We've also unsealed an indictment charging 4 defendants in a scheme to defraud a COVID program. Again, these programs, as we all know, were meant to benefit small businesses and individuals struggling because of the pandemic. In total, between our state and federal partners, today we're announcing charges that were either unsealed today or over the past week against 14 defendants allegedly involved in fraud schemes targeting over $50 million here in Ohio.
$50 million in Ohio, one state at a time. Imagine, folks, they're just going one state at a time. Oh, my goodness.
And in some states, like Minnesota and California, it's an uphill battle because we don't have the cooperation from the state and locals. And by the way, this should not be controversial. Us going after fraudsters who are stealing taxpayer money should be something that every single politician, Republican or Democrat, federal, state, local, should want to assist in doing. And that's why we're in Ohio. Because in Ohio, we are able to show how that relationship can yield results that are beneficial to the American people and every single taxpayer. We have a great relationship with the Attorney General here, with the governor, with the entire leadership, where they're sharing information, working together, prosecutor's office working with federal prosecutors, and that's why we wanted to hear to kind of showcase what it can look like if we all work together.
Yep, working together, catching the fraudsters. But a couple states say, just stay out of here. We want to continue our fraud. We want to continue stealing elections. We like staying corrupted, and folks don't care here. Even if they try to go after us, we put them in jail. We'll figure it out. You guys leave us alone. We got this. Oh, man, what a battle. So, continuing with the fraud exposure, Secretary Brooke Rollins said the USDA has never had access to state SNAP data, not until this administration demanded it. That's why every figure from years past is meaningless. From the 29 states that did share data, we've already identified at least $3 billion a year in fraud. Listen to how she handles Angie Craig, top Dem on the House Attorney General Dems. U.S. Representative from Minnesota.
Terry, do you know what the SNAP fraud rate actually is according to the most recent estimates from USDA? The fraud rate.
This is Miss Craig speaking and looking, disgusting as usual.
Well, that is based on data we're receiving from the states that we can't verify. That's the whole point of this, is we have no ability to verify California, Minnesota, where the fraud has been
Reclaiming my time.
New
It was
York.
1.6% according to USDA.
Your state is saying we only have 1.6% fraud rate, which we all know is an absolute joke.
I'll say it again.
You
You understand
share it
the
with
difference
us.
between error rates and fraud rates? I honestly don't. It is one of the lowest fraud rate in any program in America is the SNAP program.
The lowest fraud rate of any program in America is the SNAP program? You can't be serious when you say that.
Your own data says 1.6%.
Again, that's because the states, your state
Reclaiming
has
my
told us
time
that number,
once more.
and you won't allow us to confirm it.
Yeah. All this information when Minnesota's pointed out to her face what you guys are responsible for. They don't want to hear it. They just can't handle it. President Trump's having the liberal tears fill up the reflecting polls. So you guys see this, and man, we put memes together. It's amazing how he catches them and says, you know what? I think I'm going to use that one. Go ahead and post it. Now, wait till we get into Scott Bessent Day 2. Some of the craziness that happened with them there after this. Well, folks, you know that economic uncertainty is always around. Endless money printing, threats to our freedom are real. But we know there's a way to fight back and secure your family's future. Invest in physical gold and silver, a timeless hedge against inflation and fiat currency collapse. Through our exclusive partner, Kirk Elliott Precious Metals, you get expert guidance on IRAs, rollovers, and direct purchases, serving all 50 states with integrity and excellence. Don't wait for the next crisis. Act now.
We're up to over 100% growth year to date. Gold is up over 60% year to date. But this isn't a 1 year, one hit wonder, right? You go back years, silver started out at $18 an ounce.
Oh, yeah.
And when we first started talking, it was in the low 20s. Like everybody who got in back then in the Silicon Valley Bank days has more than doubled, right? This is exciting because this is legacy changing. This is life impacting type things.
I'll go to andweknow.com/gold in the description box below, or call 720-605-3900 and say LT from And We Know sent you. Stand firm, protect your wealth. God wins. We've watched an enormous change in the past 3 years, from $20 in silver all the way up to the 80s now. Feel free to call them now or go to that description box link below and change your life forever. All right, here we go. First is the Democrat Representative Terry Sewell. Unhinged rant with Bessent.
Second question, or my second topic I'd like to discuss is what's going on.
I will point out that
I haven't asked you one single question.
I will point out
Mr. Chairman, I asked to reclaim my time. I'm not asking him a question. I'm stating facts.
You're not stating facts, you're stating opinion.
Mr. Secretary, Black and brown Americans feel like they are under attack by this administration.
Yep, so she's going to slander the Republicans as racist once again. That's all they got left. They just don't have anything left to really go on. Racist Trump, Trump, racist. That's all they care about.
Found that a Doge staffer...
Now we're going to listen to Miss Delbing. Doge staffer sent a file containing USAID info. Here we go.
Sent an unencrypted file containing USAID payment information and individuals' names to external Doge personnel at the General Services Administration. Soon after, it was reported no disciplinary action was taken, despite the employee's failure to protect federal and non-federal employees' sensitive personal data and comply with security requirements. So again, Mr. Secretary, when employees who violate IT security rules are not held accountable, what does that message send to agents? Why don't you hold someone accountable?
Why are you bringing up USAID with me?
Because a Doge staffer, GAO found that a Doge had payment information. Payment information.
USAID, I do not oversee. I wear many hats in this administration.
And this is still, this is a file containing payment information.
She won't answer the question. She has to keep reading the notes that were presented to her because she doesn't know what she's doing. If you guys aren't looking at your screen, he's telling her, hey, this has nothing to do with me. She should say, oh, really? Okay, well, I'll take that down and I'll continue. Nope, she just looks at her notes, doesn't care, and continues to read it because that's her job, right? She's getting paid all that money to, run the show the way that they see fit. The Democrats.
Look, they don't want to talk about how they voted to cut the child tax credit.
He tells everybody, Scott Bessent, he says, look, they don't want to talk about the good things. And he goes through the list.
They didn't have for 40 million people, voted for higher rates on low and middle income families, for a $5 trillion tax hike. And if I were the Democrats, this side of the aisle, I would be terrified how many Americans applied for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, reduced taxes on Social Security, and deductibility of auto loans.
7.5 million no tax on tips, 29 million overtime, seniors 35 million.
Mr. Arrington, your time has expired.
Unbelievable. Keep up the good work, Mr. Secretary.
So there's always a positive, somebody encouraging and more. And then you had this Democrat, very interesting, Representative John Larson. He was going to play gotcha with Scott Bessent. He wouldn't let him talk. And then what happens is it's almost amazing to hear the Democrat actually admit that he likes what's going on.
So what is the administration's plan to lower gas prices?
We've taken the many.
Are you in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We have moved to.
Are you in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We would like to work.
Are you able to answer that, or is that not?
Well, if I'm not interrupted, I can, Congressman.
Well, I'm waiting for your answer.
We have asked Congress to move to eliminate the gas tax. That is done through statute.
You have moved that. So you're in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We have asked for that.
So we can join bipartisanly today because you're in favor to eliminate the gas tax.
Again, the White House has asked for it, sir.
They have? Why isn't it before the committee for a vote?
I don't run the agenda.
Well, it's good to hear that we're in favor of something that we can work on bipartisanly that will help relieve people who need it the most. Forgive me, but people in my district aren't doing cartwheels over this economy.
Hey, did Larson get the memo? Hey, you're not supposed to agree with anything that President Trump and his team do there, Larson. Could he be another guy that's going to have a black eye soon? We'll have to keep an eye out. Everybody kind of watch this guy. Democrat out of Connecticut, 1st District. I think he lost it for a minute and says, man, I actually agree with what you guys are doing. That's common sense. Maybe if he looked at everything that was going on, it'd be common sense. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's look at, since we're on Democrats, let's just kind of take a sidebar on this one with this Democrat.
So we really need to take this country back. It's not just abolishing ICE, it's reducing Customs and Border Patrol from the 100-mile jurisdiction to just 10. They are there for a specific purpose, not more. My first act in Congress will be to ensure that we have truth and reconciliation commissions. I want to unmask these ICE agents. I want them named, and I want victim compensation for what they have done for the survivors and those who did not survive, to honor their families and make sure that they have citizenship in our country.
I'm going to do everything I can to help the illegals skip the lines so that we can get the voters in here that we need, because we're not going to survive. I'm translating what you're saying. We're not going to survive without these illegals becoming citizens and voting for us. Democrat Party's falling apart. It isn't enough. We have to compensate them too, give them money so they'll vote for us. Help them skip the lines. They deserve our support, says New York Democrat Laura Dunn. If I didn't give you your name, I apologize. But there you go. And they're complaining about, all the mistreatment at the ICE facilities and more. Homeland Security said, hey, check this out. We're presenting the chef's signature meals at Delaney Hall, the one in New Jersey. Our breakfast, lunch, and dinner menu for Thursday, June 4th. Check this out. Breakfast, pancakes, rice and raisins, syrup, turkey, deli meat, margarine, sugar, coffee, milk. Lunch, fajita with tortilla, grilled onions and peppers, Spanish rice, refried beans. Sound like bad food to you? Dinner, turkey, deli meat, cheese, slice. I mean, a lot of us don't even eat like that every single day. Oh, man. Oh, got to keep it going. All this corruption's being unveiled one day at a time. Here's John Solomon.
I think he's going to nominate Todd Blanche if he can get through. Obviously, the nomination hearing will delve into Epstein one more time because that'll give the Democrats one more time. But Blanche has moved more accountability in the last 2 months than Pam Bondi did in the first 15 months of the administration. There's just so many things going on. The activity down in Fort Pierce, Florida is extraordinary. And they are moving towards getting real indictments that are going to tell a story that most Americans have not heard from their traditional media. And so
real indictments, right? And he said, Todd Blanche, if he gets in, I'm going to come back to this in a moment to finish it, but just want to remind you about this Todd Blanche deal. This is the rhino dirtbag, Senator Tom Tillis. He's now threatening the acting attorney general, saying he will actually withhold his vote to confirm Todd Blanche unless the acting attorney general condemns those involved in J6. Somebody's scared. Somebody was involved in the takedown of President Trump through J6. He was a part of it. Now he's like, I'm not going to help you guys out. I need to protect my interests. Stop and think about what that means for a moment, says Awaken Outlaw. It's flat out extortion intended to smear MAGA to buy his vote. Serious question. Who needs enemies when you have rhinos on your team? The future of our republic is on the line. He's playing petty, divisive, childish games. Now back to John Solomon as he continues with this.
And so,
tell us.
Well, listen, I think the origins of Russia collusion aren't what we were been told. I think some of it was faked. I think when we get into 2022 and 23, you were going to find out that the Biden administration was spying on Donald Trump, not just to create a criminal case against him, but maybe to find out what his campaign was up to. It's going to feel like the Plumbers and Nixon. In between that, there are all sorts of American citizens who still don't know today that they were being surveilled by the FBI, though they had not created an iota of crime. They weren't guilty of anything. There is a massive...
But they were surveilled because they got a FISA warrant.
Or maybe not.
Or even maybe not.
I'm not convinced that all surveillance was done with a FISA warrant or a warrant. We raided the president's home. Let's think about what we've now learned. We raided the president's home. We went through his drawers and his son's room and his wife's wardrobe, even though the FBI said they didn't have probable cause. And afterwards, the story broke last week, Merrick Garland's top advisor saying, he probably had the right to keep those documents. Did we consider that before we raided his home? We know that was now not a righteous thing. Now, I think we're going to learn that they went to Mar-a-Lago for a reason that we're not ready for. They wanted to recover a document from Donald Trump that would help him prove that the Russia collusion case and specifically Barack Obama and John Brennan's behavior in Russia collusion was wrong. And they wanted to get that document back so he couldn't use it in litigation. So those are all things that I think are on the horizon, going to come out in the next few months.
As if that raid would have helped. As if there were not documents and copies of the documents saved. As if President Trump... I mean, this is how dumb these Democrats and these leftists and these criminals are. They really think they're going to put a stop to all this, and it's coming out. It's going to be wonderful as we continue to watch it all unfold. Now, we're going to get into some great things President Trump did. Also, the Bolton issues that came up, and you won't believe it, but Hunter Biden's even thinking about somehow maybe running for office. Oh, man. Anyway, again, we have our amazing gear, 250 years. Order now in time for Independence Day t-shirts and hats, and our women's 3/4 sleeve V-necks are finally here. When you wear this gear, we hope that folks will walk up to you and say, hey, I watched that show also, and it'll do, bring new friends into your life. Here's more great pictures of Patriots wearing their gear. So let's get into psychological operations from observing consciousness. There was an exchange between Luna and Marco Rubio, exposing the industrial machinery of modern psychological warfare operating inside America.
Secretary Rubio, thank you for being here today. I was wondering if you could let me know if you are familiar with the name of Neville Roysingham.
Yeah, he's I think an American millionaire living in China who's funding all of these left-wing radical loons.
Correct. When you were on Senate Intelligence, you had actually sent a letter encouraging the Department of Justice to look into him for a FARA violation. For those people who will see this clip later on the internet, can you just briefly explain what FARA is?
It's the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and it means if you're operating on behalf of a foreign country, you have to register and declare yourself as such.
To provide some context for those looking at this, Mr. Singham's in total given $1.3 million to an organization called Code Pink, as well as over $278 million to various nonprofits since 2017. Secretary Rubio, it's in my opinion, observing what's been happening on both sides, really contributing to the political divide in this country, that many countries are engaging in influencer operations to include psychological operations on the American people with the intent to undermine not just our foreign policy from the administration's perspective, but also to pit us against one another. Would you concur with that statement?
There's no doubt, absolutely.
Are you aware of any countries in particular that are currently engaging in this?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that we see evidence of it from the CCP. We've historically seen some of it as well from Russia historically in the past in a different way. I think you're starting to see some of it from Cuba, and I think some of these are linked with one another. In fact, that group that you just mentioned actually traveled to Cuba, stayed at a very fancy and expensive hotel that is sanctioned, and I think are now being looked at by the appropriate officials to see if they violated U.S. law in the trips that they're taking. But there's no doubt that when you have people showing up with pre-printed signs 24 hours after Nicolas Maduro was arrested and extradited to the United States, that's not an organic movement. Someone's paying for that.
Somebody's paying. The NGOs, he confirms it, Rubio confirms all this. The foreign states actively running influence operations through non-governmental organization networks. Activist organizations, influencers that are on social media and more, coordinated media narratives and manufactured street mobilizations designed to fracture social cohesion and weaponize Americans against each other from inside the system itself. That's why we get so much confusion. So many folks that you look at them are like, why are they so brainwashed? What's wrong with them? They continue to watch these folks, listen to all the propaganda being played out. And it's folks that are being paid to do it. They're not actually doing it because they care. Many of these individuals get money and they're like, pay me, please. I need to eat. I need to pay for my rent. I'll do anything. And they're like, yeah, you need propaganda. I'll go out there and help you. And that's what they get involved in doing. Others at higher levels that get involved in all kinds of junk and movements and propaganda would be guys like John Bolton. Well, yeah, he actually has now pled guilty for mishandling classified materials, folks. Did you get that? Same guy in June 2023, Bolton wanted Trump to do jail time over classified docs.
You know, Republicans used to believe that not prosecuting criminals led to more crime. The answer here is take the politics out of the decision, and in this case, proceed with the prosecution and do the same for anybody else who does anything even remotely like it. Just read the indictment and ask yourself, if the government can prove what they allege here, shouldn't this man go to jail? The simple fact he had the documents for any reason or no reason should subject him to prosecution.
Oh, man, memories. And you guys have another memory of this guy. Old Hunter Biden himself. Can you believe it?
I have a question about Hunter Biden. He's on social media now, and he has suggested, maybe joking, I don't know, that he could run for president in 2028. How would he do, Hunter Biden, in a 2028 Democratic primary?
Well, you would think that, past has something to do with winning an election, and I would say his past is not the greatest. Where's Hunter? Remember my Where's Hunter? It became the #1 shirt anywhere in the world for about 3 weeks. I'm not going to say bad. I'm sure, hey, if the guy from Maine can do well.
The guy from Maine with the Nazi tattoo.
I guess Hunter could do well, too, because the guy from Maine is a basket case. And I would say worse than him is the one from Texas that looks like Alfred E. Newman. I would say that if he can do well, maybe Hunter can do well. I'm not sure. It would be pretty close.
So he uses Tallarico as a running joke as people are laughing. Speaking of jokes, Nancy Pelosi was approached, Lindell TV, and she was freaking out because The truth was put right in front of her face from a phone. I love it when reporters actually show the evidence to their face.
Hi, Congressman Pelosi. Last time I asked you about January 6th, why you turned the National Guard away on January 6th, you told me to shut up and that I was repeating Republican
talking.
talking.
To shut up again because you're speaking lies. And I don't have anything to do
You're
with
right
it.
here on record saying,
No,
I'll
shut up.
admit it.
No, I did not admit it. The president never would agree to send the National Guard. Don't waste your time or mine on you.
Why was your daughter filming you on January 6th?
Why don't you get away?
These are just questions the American people want answers to.
No, you know what? I don't even think you're a real journalist. You work for Mike the Pillow Man?
Actually, I do, and we're very proud.
Don't consider that journalism. Mike the Pillow Man, that's not journalism. I don't have any reason to talk to you.
He'd love to give you a free
I want you to
pillow.
record this. I want people to know that you're not a real journalist. You work for Mike the Pillow Man, and all you do is spout untruths.
Okay.
Get away from me.
You can insult me all you
Get
want,
away from me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We'll give you my pillow so you can have a nice sleep tonight, okay?
Oh, you get a My Pillow if you sleep
Care.
great tonight. Take care with a big smile. Bravo. Bravo. You're not a real reporter. You're asking me. You're not part of the media group that's supposed to protect me. You're actually telling the truth and showing evidence that I'm a liar. Get out of here. You're not a real reporter. You're with Mike the Pillow, and see what they do. They attack the messenger because they realized their lies have not made it as far as they hoped. And we will see the liberal tears continue to play out. The liberal tears will be flowing right into the reflecting pool. Il Donaldo Trumpo showing President Trump opening the valve to the liberal tears. They're running out of storage, he said. And the liberals continue to play their games, and they even continue on PBS. That's right, PBS has a children's program called Reading Rainbow. The program made a social media post promoting Pride Month and celebrating the LGBTQ riots. They're teaching kids to become left-wing activists. That's right. Every June, they put this out. Pride Month is a celebration of the United States. June was chosen to commemorate the riots held by members of the LGBTQIA+ community against a police raid at the Stonewall Inn in New York City on June 28th, 1969. Wow. What they're doing to our children. And speaking of children and what happens to them, Frisco had more folks stand up to basically work and share their information about not building these mosques. And this guy came out and he says, I'm going to share the truth about what actually happens with these groups. These groups and what they try to push, their agenda. Some of this might be uncomfortable for some of you as he talks about 8-year-olds and what they're forced to get married to 60-year-olds or whatever, how he explains it. So just caution as he speaks.
How are you guys? Good evening. Okay, so first, my name is Jose Duarte. I won't say where I live specifically. That's my First Amendment right. And I would like to start this with saying that I'm here because I reject, and we, the majority here, reject the construction of the mosque.
Mr. Duarte, can you please speak into the mic?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
We reject the construction of the mosque here in Frisco. In a democracy, the majority rules, and the majority here doesn't want that mosque to be built. It's simple as that. For that reason, today I ask you, the City Council, to reject that proposal. And to all of you, you here, you're politicians, but you're also humans. Again, I can talk to you like humans. You also have family members, you have girls in your family. You have daughters, you have granddaughters, and they're probably, maybe they will hear this, or maybe they'll find out somewhere else. So, in Islam, the religious book, the Quran, tells them that 2 women are the equivalent to only 1 man when testifying in court, meaning that a woman is less valuable than a man. Imagine the girls in your family hearing this and knowing you promoted something that sees them as less. Imagine them finding out you're here to approve the construction of something that is used to step on the rights of women all over the world. Women in Islamic countries have less rights than men. For example, 8-year-old girls are forced to marry 60-year-old men and they don't have a say. Then those men rape the girls and they cry, of course, because they want to go back with their families, but their families won't do anything because their religion approves that. When I ask Muslims to condemn groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Taliban, terrorist groups that have killed thousands of American soldiers, we're having Memorial Day in a week, so remember that. They won't condemn them because they won't betray their people or religion. But if they do condemn them, they use something that is called taqiyya, which allows them to lie if that means they're going to protect their lives or protect Islam. So we ask you today, you have us right here, the majority of the American people who don't want this. It's simple as that. And we have the right to vote and to decide in the decisions that are going to affect our sisters or daughters or future granddaughters and all the girls here in the United States and women. We care for them. Muslims say Islam is the religion of peace. Meanwhile, apostasy, which means leaving the religion of Islam in this case, is punished with death. If you leave Islam, you get the death penalty. You guys know that? Now I'll finish with 3 things for everyone to hear. First of all, Jesus Christ is God and the only God. Amen. Second, the majority has the last word, and we the people reject this proposal. Amen. That's it.
If it continues, and they continue to build their mosques and move in and not assimilate with our culture and what we do, you'll have situations of what's happening in the UK where you've got guys out here like this.
This is our country. We are here to stay. We are settlers. And also, I would like to point out that some people said, what about the crucifix on the English flag? And it's Crusader history. Well, I responded, if you place a white flag with just England written on that flag, there is no reason in Sharia Islamic law why that would be forbidden.
Oh, no reason in Sharia Islamic law. Saying, hey, we're opposing our Sharia law into the UK. So their Muslims are demanding, many of them, that St. George's cross be removed from England's flag because the Christian symbol offends them. The backlash across Britain has been massive. Brits are rising up to defend their national flag and heritage with zero apologies. This is what happens after years of mass immigration with zero demand for assimilation. You don't move to a country and then try to erase its identity. The people have had enough. It's time for authorities to stop appeasing every demand and actually defend British culture and values. And we'll see how that continues to play out. President Trump announced on Wednesday, June 24th at 7 p.m. in magnificent Washington, D.C., now totally beautified and one of the safest cities anywhere in the world. And in celebration of our country's 250-year history, we will be bringing you live the greatest rally ever. It will be special at every level, a rally to end all rallies. We don't want singers with no talent, but big fees to put you up to sleep. We've told them all to stay home. All we want is you, me, a few speakers, and the greatest music ever played, the same music you've listened to for years. We will have the fabulous Lee Greenwood introducing me with what has turned out to be one of the greatest hits of all time, God Bless the USA, and the amazing Christopher Macchio, who will sing Nessun Dorma. There it is, Nessun Dorma. None shall sleep. Hallelujah, Ave Maria, God Bless America, and others. Not since the legendary Luciano Pavarotti has there been such a voice. The rally will also be featuring the wonderful U.S. Army Band Pershing's Own and Armed Forces Choir and the President's Own United States Marine Band. With the Joint Armed Forces Chorus, all of your favorite hits, plus a fine and highly dignified gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump. Always got to throw that in there. And all of this to let you know that the White House posted almost done. Rounding the final turn with that reflecting pool, President DJT. With the White House account posting almost done on June 4th, keyword is done, says Ripcord. A post 970 dated March 28, 2018 says done in 30. House cleaning, White House secured, final stage. Final stage. Also, almost done. Mary JKE Anon saw the drop at 1422, went to 1422 on the board. It says they thought it was coming yesterday. They were wrong. Follow the pen. With all of this going on, the information on fraud, California, everybody seems to be watching California and really, wondering what's going to happen and how that's going to play out. But, most of all, if you think about it, say California, they do have some craziness going on. Imagine the number of folks who were Democrats, strong Democrats, who said, man, Scott Bessent makes sense. I'm definitely going to vote for that guy. And they go, wait a minute, what's going on? How come Scott's not? Man, nobody, I don't know anybody that voted for Karen Bass. Wait a minute, how in the world did he go to number 3 when he was comfortably at number 2 and now he's not going to be in the runoff in November? Imagine if that plays out. And all this craziness is revealed, and they go, I had no idea that my vote never counted. All this time, I was wondering why Karen Bass was there. And even as a Democrat, they're going to have to admit, wow, we've been had. We've been had. So remember the big cheating. Why do some elections take more than a day to count? Can cheating be done after the polls are closed? There's going to be a lot of craziness. We're going to stay on top of it. I know you guys are in prayer. And just remember, in the end, trust the plan. We're winning big, locked in.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you again, amazed at how you've brought great leaders at this time. You've placed them in a perfect place for all of us to sit back and watch, really, in a sense, and understand how this is playing out to protect the people of the United States, and also the ripple effect that goes out to other countries as they are hungry for real leadership now that they're seeing it playing out before their very eyes in the United States. We know this enemy is strong and will continue to do all they can to destroy the minds of the people, even take us out and more. And so your perfect plan, hopefully through imperfect people, will continue to play out the way that you intend it. May we stay strong and in prayer, and also just be thankful once again for your saving our nation from these evil satanic worshipers. We certainly hope that protection is over all of them. We ask for that again, that many who are on the front lines, many who are facing these evil lunatics will be safe, and even in our own families, in our own sphere of influence, that those that are around us would listen and we'd be able to provide comfort during the storm. We bring this all before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen and amen. Thank you so much for tuning in. What an amazing week it has been. I'm sure you guys are overwhelmed for sure. We're going to have another video from Dr. Kirk Elliott out tomorrow, so we hope you'll be looking for that. And man, let's continue to stay in touch. Thank you for your prayers. For now, this LT Semper Fi with Them We Know, signing out.
There's no mail-in ballots. You see that's what's happening in California. They're rigging the election. Now, maybe we caught them, and maybe they won't be able to get away with it. They tried with me. They did it successfully the second time. The third time, we made it too big to rig. Too many votes. They couldn't do it. They could only go. They sort of gave up at about 9:07 when they got slaughtered with the votes that came in.
And so this morning, the Inspector General, in coordination with the task force, exercised his statutory obligation to end the grants being paid to Hawaii, to make sure that money that goes out the door to the states is going to actually fight fraud.
Good morning. What is the FBI doing to combat fraud? It's pretty simple. We follow the money.
But you're right here. You're right here on record saying,
No,
I'll admit it.
No, I did not admit it. The president never sent, would agree to send the National Guard. Don't waste your time or mine on you.